Hello there, welcome. Tonight we're going on a journey into the quiet, twisted world of Five Nights at Freddy's, but in a way you never experienced before. You won't need to keep your eyes open, you won't need to check any cameras, or worry about animatronics watching you. Instead, I'm going to tell you a story, a long, strange story about haunted pizzerias, forgotten memories, and one man's descent into darkness. But don't worry, we'll move slowly, softly, and as the mysteries of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzas unfolds, you might find yourself falling asleep. So close your eyes, get cozy, and let's begin. At the very beginning, the birth of Fazbear Entertainment. Long before the lights dimmed, before the whispers in the walls, before the jump scares and the security shifts, there was only an idea to bring joy to families, to create a place where children could laugh, eat pizza, and meet their favorite animatronic friends. The idea became Fredbear's Family Diner, a small cozy restaurant run by two business partners, one of them a man named William Afton. At the time, nobody knew who he truly was. Just a quiet man with a gift of engineering. He designed characters like Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, animatronics that could entertain during the day and perform at parties. They were powered by spring lock technology, a delicate system that could switch between animatronic and suit modes. But it was unstable, dangerous, and yet children adored them. The diner became a local hit. Laughter filled the air. Parents chatted while the animatronics danced and sang. But in the shadows, Afton was already planning something more, something darker. From the small beginning, Fazbear Entertainment was born, a company that would rapidly expand, bringing with it new locations, more animatronics, and eventually a legacy of mystery, tragedy, and ghosts. But we'll soon get to that. For now, let's drift forward to the next chapter. Fredbear's Family Diner and the Bite of 83. Fredbear's Family Diner was supposed to be a place of smiles, of birthday cakes, party hats, and good memories. But beneath the soft lighting and cheerful songs, something tragic was waiting to happen. It all centered around a little boy, quite anxious, often seen clutching a plush toy of Fredbear, his only real friend. This boy had an older brother, one who didn't understand his fears and teased him, pushed him, bullied him, even in the place where he felt safest. On one cruel day, during a birthday party, the boy was picked out by his brother and his friends and brought too close to a Fredbear. Too close. They forced his head into the animatronic's mouth. They laughed, not knowing the animatronic's mouth was still active, that the spring locks could fail. And then the mouth snapped shut. The incident would be known as the Bite of 83. The boy rushed to the hospital, but he never woke up. Some say his soul never left Fredbear's Diner. After that day, Fredbear's closed its doors. The spring-lock suits were retired, but the story didn't end. In fact, it was only the beginning. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza would rise again, with new characters, new secrets, and more children who would never make it home. Let's continue into the era of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. After the diner closed, Fazbear Entertainment didn't stop. They rebranded, rebuilt. A new restaurant was open, one with a fresh look, a bigger budget, and a new set of animatronics. They called it Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and the center of the stage was Freddy, a brown bear with a black top hat and a bow tie. Friendly, dependable, he became the new face of the brand. Then there was Bonnie, the purple rabbit with the red bow tie and electric guitar. Chica, the cheerful chicken who loved pizza. And Foxy, the rogue pirate fox who performed from behind the curtain in Pirate Cove. They were programmed to sing, to dance, to roam the restaurant and entertain during the day. But at night, they were different. The official story said it was due to their free roam mode, that if they didn't walk around, their servos would lock up. But guests, and even some employees, began to notice things. Animatronics would stare too long. They'd show up where they weren't supposed to be. Children would feel uneasy around them. And then children began to disappear. It happened quietly at first. One child went missing, then another, then more. Parents were frantic, staff were confused, police were called. The restaurant tried to downplay it, said it was a coincidence, but the whispers spread that something sinister had happened inside those walls. Eventually, witnesses came forward. A man had been seen luring children into the back room. A man dressed in a yellow bunny suit, not an animatronic, a suit, one made with all spring lock mechanisms, just like Fredbear and Spring Bonnie from the early days. The man's name was William Afton. The police investigated, but they couldn't find the children's bodies. No physical evidence, no charges. Fazbear Entertainment denied any wrongdoing, but they quietly shut down that location. Still, the rumors never stopped. Some say that you can still hear the children's laughter at night, or crying from the empty party rooms. And others noticed something even stranger. The animatronics began acting differently. They moved erratically, they stared longer, and sometimes they bled. Technicians reported foul smells, fluids leaking from inside the suits. They were brushed off as maintenance issues, but some believed the children never truly left. Long, slender arms, painted face, eyes that looked like they were always crying. The puppet. Her story is one of the saddest of them all. You see, the puppet wasn't just another animatronic. She wasn't programmed to perform or entertain. She was designed to protect. In the early days, there was a birthday party. A child left outside. It was raining, but nobody noticed. No one came to check. And someone was waiting. A man, William Afton. He found her alone, cold and scared. And then he ended her life. Left her in the rain. But something happened. Her soul didn't move on. And something else, something mechanical found her. The puppet's casing opened and the soul entered. From that day forward, the puppet became something more than metal and wires. She became a guardian. She felt what the children felt, heard cries, knew their pain. She felt what the children felt, heard her cries, knew their pain. And when more children went missing one by one, she did what no adult had done. She remembered them, and she gave them faces. She placed their souls into animatronics, not to trap them, but to protect them, give them form, a way to be seen, to be heard, to let the world feel what they had taken from them. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy. They weren't just suits anymore. They were children guided by the puppet. She was their guardian, their voice. There's a theory, one that explains what really happened to those children. Their bodies may have been hidden, but their souls were not. People began to notice strange behaviors in the animatronics, movement that seemed too human, emotions behind those lifeless eyes, moments where they stand perfectly still as if remembering something. Some say the spirits of the missing children began to inhabit the very suits that once stood on the stage, not as guests but as prisoners. Each animatronic became a vessel. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy. Not just machines anymore, but haunted shells, driven by rage, confusion, and sadness of the children who were taken too soon. They don't remember who they were, only pain, only fear. And so at night, they wandered, not to scare, but to search for the man who hurt them, to punish the one who stole their lives. But they couldn't recognize him. To them, all grown-ups looked the same. Even the night guards, even you. And so the cycle began. Night after night, the spirits would roam, hoping to find justice, but only ever finding more darkness. And behind it all, the man in the shadows watched, unbothered, unafraid. His name was William Afton. To the outside world, he was a technician, an inventor, a co-founder of a beloved family brand. But behind the curtain, in the wires, in the walls, he was something else entirely. Some say he was brilliant, others say broken. But what we know is that he was obsessed with control, with life and death, and what lies after. He created machines, built them to entertain, but also to lure. He designed them with a secret compartment, mechanisms that would trap and contain. The animatronics weren't just performers, they were tools, and he used them to get close to children, to isolate them, to take them. Afton lured them gently, calmly, with a smile, into a back room. The kind of place no one paid attention to. The kind of room that didn't show up in the security feed. And once the door closed, they were never seen again. Some say he wore a costume, a yellow rabbit suit. He used it to earn their trust, to appear as just another friendly face. But the suit was special. Not just fabric, not soft like plush. It was hard, mechanical, dangerous. A spring-lock suit, just like the ones from Fredbear days. He was careful though, at least at first. But with each child, he became more confident, more twisted, more reckless. And somewhere along the way, he stopped caring. Not about being caught, not about the families, not even about the company he helped build, only about one thing: survival, control, power over life and death itself. And it was in this search of that power that he went too far. He didn't realize it at first, but something had followed him. The spirits of those children. They weren't gone. They were watching, waiting. And one night in an abandoned facility, they found him. He tried to hide, tried to protect himself by climbing into the old spring block bodysuit. He laughed. He thought they couldn't touch him. But the suit had its own plans. The room was damp, the locks were unstable, and then, snap, the springs failed. The metal inside the suit collapsed inward, crushing him. His screams were never heard. And when they found him, there was nothing left but a corpse, trapped in a costume, staring forever into the dark. But that wasn't the end, because William Afton didn't stay dead. For years, there was silence. The building where it happened, the one where William Afton met his fate, was boarded up. No more guests, no more birthday songs, just dust and echoes. Time moved on. People forgot. The name Fazbear faded into memory. But not everyone forgot. Some remembered the stories, the missing children, the strange machines, the ghosts. Urban legends began to spread. Late-night forum posts, conspiracy videos, and slowly interest resumed. People wanted to know the truth, to see it with their own eyes, and so a new project was born. Fazbear's Fright, the horror attraction. Not a restaurant, not a pizzeria, but a haunted house. Built from the ruins of the old locations, using props, decorations, and maybe even real relics, everything was designed to scare, to retell the twisted story of Freddy Fazbear's and the missing children. It was supposed to be fake, a ride, a thrill, until they found something. In the sealed-off basement, hidden behind the walls and debris, there was a room. And inside that room was him. The yellow rabbit suit, mangled, stained, twisted beyond recognition. But it wasn't just a costume anymore. It has fused with the body inside. The metal had grown cold around the flesh, wires tangled in bones, a hollow face still locked in a silent scream. William Afton had become something else, something no longer entirely human, no longer just a machine. They called it Springtrap. And when he was brought out of that room, something inside him woke up. Because Afton hadn't truly died, not in the way most people do. His spirit, anchored by guilt, obsession, and hate, refused to move on. The suit was his tomb and his cage, and now his prison had a stage again. In Fazbear's Fright, the show was ready. A night guard was hired. The attraction would have been open in a few weeks, but they needed someone to watch over the building during the night, just like old times. And so the cycle began again. But this time, there was only one animatronic, Springtrap, silent, cunning, and very, very aware. He didn't move like the others, didn't stumble or twitch. He watched, waited, lurked in the shadows like a ghost with a heartbeat. But he wasn't alone, not quite, because the building was still haunted. Phantom animatronics began to appear, flickering in and out like hallucinations. Versions of Freddy, Chica, and Foxy, even Balloon Boy. They didn't kill, they didn't harm, but they disoriented, distracted, weakened the guard's grip on reality. Every camera glitch, every flicker of light was a warning, and through the flickers, Springtrap drew closer. Each night the temperature rose, the walls groaned, the past seeped through every pipe, every wire. Fazbear's Fright wasn't just a horror attraction, it was a grave, and something wanted out. Fazbear's Fright didn't last long. Before the grand opening, a fire broke out. They say it was an accident, an old wire, faulty circuits, but some believe the building was never meant to survive, that it was cursed, doomed to burn the moment Springtrap opened his eyes. The flames swept through the attraction, wood turned to ash, props melted, walls collapsed, and the horrors inside were supposed to be reduced to cinders. But when the smoke cleared, they found nothing. No animatronic parts, no skeleton, no charred remains of the suit. Springtrap was gone, because William Afton doesn't die. His body may rot, his suit may burn, but his hatred, his soul, clings to existence. And then another facility appeared, hidden beneath the surface, far from the public eye, cold, metallic, designed not to entertain but to contain. This was not a restaurant. It wasn't a pizzeria. It had no stage, no children, no birthday cake. Only silence and machines. Welcome to Circa Baby's Entertainment and Rentals. This place was different, underground, unknown, and yet still tied to the name Afton. You see, William Afton didn't stop with Freddy. He continued building in secret. And here, he created some of his most advanced, most disturbing machines. They were more than animatronics. They could think, speak, lure. They weren't meant for a stage, they were designed to capture. And the center of it all was Circus Baby. She looked kind, colorful, like a performer at a child's birthday party. But inside, she was something else. She could release ice cream, inflate balloons, and open her torso to store children. One child got too close. Her name was Elizabeth, William's daughter. He had told her to stay away, warned her. But curiosity is a powerful thing, and Circus Baby was very good at pretending to be safe. The day that Elizabeth disappeared, no one saw what happened, but the camera showed one final frame, a moment frozen in time. Baby's stomach hatch opening. Then she was never seen again. After Elizabeth vanished, Circus Baby was deactivated, shut down, but not destroyed, because nothing at Fazbear's truly ends. It just waits and watches. Meanwhile, the facility stayed quiet, a ghost in the corporate network, forgotten by most, but not by Michael Afton, William's son. Some say he blamed himself, others say he just wanted to put things right. Whatever the reason, Michael took a job, a simple listing. Night shifts underground. He accepted without question, without knowing what he'd face. And so, he descended into Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rentals. The lights flickered, the elevator groaned, and the voice of the intercom welcomed him, as if it had been waiting for him all along. Michael wasn't alone. The facility housed more than just Baby. There was Ballora, a graceful ballerina, eyes always closed, but she could hear everything, even your breath. There was Funtime Freddy, with his erratic voice and puppet companion, Bonbon, always unpredictable, always laughing. Funtime Foxy, flashing violently between light and darkness, invisible in one moment, 10 inches from your face. These weren't just machines, they had personalities, voices, and memories. Each night, Michael completed a task moving through the vents, fixing fuses, avoiding death. Circus Baby guided him. She whispered instructions, helped him survive, told him what to do. But Michael never asked, why was she helping him? Because the truth was, she wasn't helping him to escape. She was guiding him into a trap. The animatronics were broken, tired of being trapped, tired of routines, and so they hatched a plan. Each of them gave something up, a part of themselves. Wires, eyes, voice. And together, they created something new. A creature made from many. Inert, tangled, massive endoskeletons, a puppet of puppets. One voice speaking for all. And to escape, they needed a body. They needed him. Michael. Circus Baby led him into the scooping room, a sterile chamber. Quiet, bright. And then the scoop, a massive arm, fast, efficient, designed to remove internal parts from animatronics. But this time, it scooped him, Michael Afton. His body hollowed out, emptied, and Inert climbed in. He became the suit. Michael's skin was just a disguise, and Inert walked out into the world above, free. Before the horrors, before the underground facility, before the scooping room, Michael Afton was just a boy, a quiet boy, living in the shadow of his father. A father he didn't fully understand, a man who was cold, distracted, distant. Michael had a little brother, a boy who was scared of everything, especially the animatronics. He would cry at night, refuse to go near the stage, cling to his plush toys for comfort, and Michael didn't understand. He thought his brother was just being weak, so he teased him, played pranks, and one day he took it too far. He and his friends lifted his brother, carried him to the stage, to the animatronic Fredbear. They were just messing around, laughing, until the mouth closed. Michael watched as his brother was injured, and then gone. The guilt never left him. He tried to apologize, tried to speak to his brother in the hospital, but it was too late. The boy died, and Michael's life was never the same. Years later, Michael learned what his father had done. The missing children, the animatronics, Elizabeth's disappearance, and he made a decision. He would fix it, all of it. No matter what it took, he would go where his father had gone, face what his father had created, even if it killed him. When Ennard climbed into Michael's body, he was supposed to fade, but something strange happened. Days passed, and Michael stood back up. Even without organs, even without blood, he came back. No one knows how. Maybe it was the power of the facility. Maybe it was something else. But his skin turned pale, his eyes hollow. He was no longer fully alive, and Ennard began to break down. The disguise was rotting. Michael's body wasn't holding, so Ennard left. He slithered out through the sewers into the shadows, leaving Michael alone, empty, damaged, but still standing. Michael wasn't like his father. He didn't run from what he had done. He didn't hide in the shadows. He followed them. One by one, he tracked down every remnant of Fazbear Entertainment. Old buildings, forgotten warehouses, basements sealed with rusted locks. He knew what was inside them. He wasn't afraid anymore. Not of the ghosts, not of the machines. Because he wasn't entirely alive, and he wasn't entirely dead. He was something else, something in between. A vessel of guilt, of purpose, of unfinished business. He burned down the places his father touched one by one, and finally, he came to the last one. A strange little pizzeria, one that had appeared out of nowhere. No advertisements, no opening celebrations, just there, waiting. It was called Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. It had looked normal, all dusty, a little broken, but Michael knew this was no ordinary restaurant. It was a trap, not for customers, not for children, but for monsters. Inside, he found them all, one by one. The spirits of the haunted, the animatronics that had wandered for decades. Molten Freddy, a mass of tangled endoskeletons. Scrap Baby, Elizabeth, his sister twisted beyond recognition. Lefty, housing a spirit that has still burned with rage, and Springtrap, his father, still alive, still burning with hatred, still wearing that cursed suit. Michael didn't run, he stayed. He stayed through every night, watched them all return, and waited until the final moment, the moment everything had come to an end. The voice of Henry, William's old business partner, echoed through the speakers, not with fear, but with resolve. You have all been brought here into a labyrinth of sound and smell, misdirection and misfortune. One by one, the animatronics were trapped, lured into the final room, surrounded, and then the flames began. Michael stayed, but he didn't try to escape. He looked into the eyes of his father and said nothing. He knew this was where he was meant to be, not as a prisoner, but as a redeemer. He had brought all of them together, and now he would burn with them. It was over, or so it seemed. The fire consumed everything. Wood, wires, masks, suits, and somewhere in the center of it all was Michael, still standing, still silent, still willing. The voice of Henry echoed in the flames, not goodbye, not just to the animatronics, but to his daughter, to the children, the ones who never got to grow up. I'm sorry. On the day that you were shut down and left to die, no one was there to lift you up. I should have known you wouldn't be content to disappear. Not my daughter. He was speaking to the puppet, but it was for all of them. Rest now for all of us. And then, silence. The story was supposed to be over. The monsters were gone, the memories buried in flame, but evil doesn't vanish, it evolves. And in the years that followed, a new name appeared. Not in the newspaper, not in children's parties, but in code, hidden behind walls of color and neon. The world had changed. Fazbear Entertainment was back, rebranded, refined, with a clean image, a modern twist that built something bigger than ever before, a place of lights, of arcades, of music and merchandise and simulated happiness, the Mega Pizzaplex, towering above the city, flooded with security bots, holograms, and flashing LED screens. But beneath the shine, something rotten still lingered. In the code, in the walls, in the power outages and the system glitches, there was a name, a presence, a virus. Vanny. She wore a rabbit mask. She spoke to something that no one else could hear. A voice, commanding, persistent. It called itself Glitch Trap, a digital remnant of William Afton. Yes, he survived. Not in the flesh, but in fragments of code. Data left behind in games and files and simulations. He infected systems. Possessed minds spoke through screens, and he found a new puppet, Vanny. And now another child is in danger. Gregory, a young boy trapped in the Pizzaplex after hours, haunted, alone, afraid. But he's not completely alone, because this time, Freddy is different. Gregory, No one knows how he got there. He was small, smart, and alone, trapped inside the Pizzaplex after closing, and something was haunting him. The security systems were active, the doors closed, the exits unreachable. But then he found a friend, or rather, a friend found him. Glamrock Freddy, a newer model, stylized, loud, built for shows and glam rock themed parties. But he was different. His systems glitched, and through that glitch he became aware. He didn't follow protocol, didn't report Gregory, didn't chase him. He protected him, guided him, helped him hide, let him climb inside his chest cavity to stay safe, something no Freddy had ever done before. Because this Freddy was trying to stop the cycle. The Pizzaplex is big, too big, with restaurants, arcades, concert halls, maintenance corridors, and secrets. As Gregory and Freddy explore deeper, they find rooms that shouldn't exist. Hidden offices, rusted animatronics, old posters from the past. They find evidence of surveillance, of children being tracked, watched. They find Manny's hideout, a room filled with plush toys and monitors, creepy drawings on the walls, and a rabbit mask. Still more. Gregory starts to hear things, sees flickering in the lights, and then finds something beneath the Pizzaplex, buried in the foundations below the lowest levels. A forgotten place, one that should have stayed buried. He's back. Somehow, some way. William Afton found a way to cheat death again. Not as a man, not as a Springtrap, but something worse. Burn trap. His consciousness embedded in an animatronic shell. His body melted, warped, kept alive by cables and digital corruption. He lives inside the Roxanne Raceway ruins, deep in the underground chamber, connected to the machine, worshipped by machines, and fed by code. His influence pulses through the Pizzaplex. Vanny was just the beginning. He wants more. He wants control. But Gregory, he fights alongside Freddy. He faces the twisted machine that was once man. Fire returns again and again. Then they try to end it with fire. And in the flames, the silence. But with Afton, that's never a guarantee. Here we are. The final chapter. The final breath. The final flicker of light in this dark, twisted dream. The fires burned again, just like before. And once again, Afton vanished. Not gone, just somewhere. But something was different this time. The place was newer, the players had changed, and still, the shadows felt familiar. Gregory escaped, or did he? Some endings suggested that he and Freddy rode into the sunrise together. Others hinted something more troubling, that Gregory wasn't just any child, that he had been there before, maybe he had never even left. Some say he's a robot, a reincarnation, ghost in a child's body. Others say he's someone's memory, but the one thing is certain, he was meant to be there. And Freddy, the only animatronic to ever fully protect a child, he knew something was wrong. He remembered everything. The old pizzerias, the spirits, the burning, the fear. He remembered someone else, something else. But he chose to change. He chose to help, to break the cycle. So what happens next? Maybe the story continues. Maybe it ends in ashes. Maybe it loops like a carousel spinning endlessly through the night. Afton, Gregory, the missing children, they all linger in memory, in stories, in pixels, and dreams. And now, it's time to rest. You've heard the tale. You wandered the halls, you'd stood in the fire. And now, there's only one thing left to do. Close your eyes, let the whispers fade, let the lights go dim, and sleep, knowing the monsters are gone now. Sweet dreams, and remember, they only come back when we forget.